This title is presented to you by Soundlibra.com. For more audiobooks like this, click the link in the description or visit our website at Soundlibra.com. Today, we're discussing why time management matters for kids.
That's right, Alex. Just a quick heads up before we get started. We'll be discussing child development and wellness today, but remember this is for educational purposes and isn't medical or professional advice. We're diving into why giving children the gift of time management is one of the most valuable skills we can teach them. It's not just about schedules, it's about setting them up for success in life.
Exactly, Lisa. Think about it. As adults, we wrestle with deadlines, juggling responsibilities, and trying to fit everything in. Wouldn't it be amazing if we could equip our kids with the tools to navigate all of that with a little more ease? That's what this series is all about.
I love that framing, Alex. It's about empowerment, isn't it? When kids understand how to manage their time, it builds confidence and reduces stress. They feel more in control of their day, rather than feeling overwhelmed by it.
Precisely. And the benefits are huge. When children learn to manage their time effectively, they become more organized. They learn to complete tasks, like homework or chores, more efficiently. This, in turn, often leads to better academic performance and a stronger sense of responsibility.
So, it's not just about getting things done, but about fostering positive habits that stick. How does this actually look for different age groups? Because I imagine a 5-year-old needs a different approach than a 10-year-old.
You've hit on a key point, Lisa. We'll be breaking down strategies that are age-appropriate throughout the series. For younger children, it might be as simple as establishing clear routines. Think about those predictable morning and evening habits. For older kids, we'll explore more complex planning and prioritization techniques. But the core principle remains the same: understanding how to allocate and use time wisely.
Routines really are foundational. I've seen firsthand how a predictable morning can make the whole day run smoother. It removes so much decision fatigue for both the child and the parent.
Absolutely. And as we move through episodes, we'll introduce practical tools. We'll talk about the power of visual aids like calendars and planners, not just for adults, but how kids can use them effectively. Imagine your child looking forward to their scheduled playtime or knowing exactly what tasks await them after school.
That sounds like a dream scenario for many parents I know. It's about making time visible, isn't it? So it's not this abstract concept that just slips away.
Exactly. We'll explore how to teach them to break down larger tasks into smaller, more manageable steps. This is crucial for tackling things like a big school project or even just cleaning their room. Without this skill, those tasks can seem insurmountable, leading to procrastination.
Ah, procrastination, the enemy of productivity. So, we'll be giving parents strategies to help their kids overcome that urge to delay. That's a big one.
It certainly is. And we'll also touch upon the importance of balance. Time management isn't just about work. It's about ensuring there's ample time for play, for chores, for family, and importantly, for downtime and rest. It's about teaching children to be productive, yes, but also to enjoy their lives and avoid burnout.
That's a critical balance to strike. It can't be all about ticking boxes. So, for parents listening today, what's the main takeaway for this episode?
The main takeaway is that time management is not just a useful skill for adulthood. It's a foundational pillar for a child's development. It fosters independence, responsibility, and reduces stress. By teaching our children how to manage their time, we're giving them a gift that will benefit them throughout their entire lives, from the schoolyard to the boardroom.
A gift that keeps on giving. I love that. It sets them up for a more organized, less stressful, and ultimately, more fulfilling life.
You got it. And over the following episodes, we'll break down exactly how to do that with practical, age-appropriate strategies for every parent. We'll be covering everything from building routines and taming homeward dragons to mastering the art of saying no and creating organized spaces.
I'm so excited about this series. It feels like we're giving parents the tools to truly empower their children.
Me too, Lisa. And to our listeners, thank you for joining us for this first episode. We hope this has highlighted just how vital time management is for our kids.
We're going to explore so many powerful techniques together. Each episode will build on the last, providing actionable advice you can implement right away.
Next episode, Building Blocks of Routine. We'll explore the power of morning and evening habits to create structure and calm.
Thanks for listening.
Welcome back. Last time we discussed why time management matters for kids. Now let's build on that foundation by looking at the power of morning and evening routines.
Routines are like the sturdy building blocks for a well-managed day. For children, having predictable patterns in their mornings and evenings brings comfort and can significantly reduce anxiety. Think of it like a well-rehearsed play where everyone knows their cues. The whole performance flows smoothly.
Exactly. In the morning, the primary goal is to create a calm and efficient transition into the day. This starts with establishing a consistent wake-up time. Following that, a clear sequence of tasks should occur: getting dressed, brushing teeth, eating breakfast, and getting ready for school or the day. The key here is consistency, doing these tasks in the same order every single day.
And for younger children, using visual schedules with pictures can be incredibly helpful. They can see what comes next, which empowers them. For older kids, we can start involving them in planning their morning steps together. This process of co-creation gives them a sense of ownership over their routine.
Yes, and helping them develop an internal sense of time is crucial. You can make it a gentle, fun challenge, like asking, "Can we get dressed in 5 minutes today?" This kind of playful competition helps them gauge how long tasks actually take. For breakfast, you can save precious minutes and set a positive tone for the day by preparing items the night before, such as making overnight oats or laying out non-perishable breakfast items.
A calm and nourishing breakfast truly fuels their bodies and minds for the day ahead. Now, shifting to the evening routine. This part is absolutely vital for ensuring good sleep, which in turn affects everything the next day. The evening should be dedicated to winding down, and this process should ideally begin about an hour before the target bedtime.
This wind-down period should involve calming activities. Think about reading a physical book, engaging in a quiet board game, or perhaps a warm bath. Limiting screen time is essential here, as the blue light emitted from devices can significantly disrupt the natural sleep cycle. The recommendation is to turn off all screens at least an hour before bed.
That's often a significant challenge for many families in today's digital world, but it is so incredibly important for allowing our children to get truly restful sleep. So, after screens are successfully turned off, the next steps in the routine would be getting into pajamas, brushing teeth, and then transitioning to bed for those final calming activities.
This could involve reading a short story for younger children, or for older ones, it might be a good time for a quiet conversation about their day. Journaling about things they're grateful for can also be a wonderful reflective practice. A brief check-in about any homework that needs to be done or any worries they might have can provide reassurance and a sense of closure before sleep.
So, to recap, mornings focus on efficient preparation with a consistent sequence of actions, and evenings focus on winding down and calming the mind and body to ensure good sleep. These routines together create a predictable, healthy rhythm that leads from restful sleep directly into a successful and organized day.
Precisely. These routines are truly the bedrock of good time management for kids. They help establish order, reduce household chaos, and build habits that will serve them exceptionally well throughout their lives. It absolutely takes patience and persistence to establish them, but the long-term rewards are immense.
The reward of a less chaotic, more harmonious, and more organized household, and more importantly, children who feel more confident and capable. Alex, What exciting topic will we be exploring in our next episode?
Next time, we're going to tackle the dreaded homework dragon, exploring practical strategies for helping children engage in focused and productive study sessions.
That sounds like a lifesaver for so many parents and students. We look forward to joining you again next time as we learn to tame the homework dragon. Thanks for listening.
Welcome back. Last time, we built a foundation with morning and evening habits. Now, let's tackle something many families find a real challenge: homework.
Ah, the dreaded homework. It can feel like a dragon, can it? It's often a source of stress for both kids and parents.
Exactly. But the good news is, with the right strategies, we can definitely tame that dragon and turn homework sessions into focused, productive times. Today, we'll make homework less of a battle and more of a manageable task.
So, Alex, where do we start with tackling this homework dragon?
The very first step is creating a dedicated study space. Think of it as the dragon's lair. It needs to be controlled and free from distractions. This doesn't need to be a whole separate room. It could be a corner of the kitchen table, a desk in their bedroom, or even a quiet spot in the living room.
So, not on the couch with the TV on then?
Definitely not. The key is a consistent spot that signals it's time to focus. This space should be organized with all necessary supplies readily available: pencils, pens, paper, rulers, and anything else they might need. This prevents them from having to get up and wander off every few minutes, breaking their concentration.
That makes sense. Having everything in one place avoids those interruptions. What else?
Next, we need to talk about breaking down assignments. Large tasks can feel overwhelming, just like a dragon is a big challenge. If a child has a large project or a lengthy assignment, encourage them to break it into smaller, bite-sized pieces.
Like eating the dragon one bite at a time?
Precisely. For example, if they have a book report, they could break it down into read chapter 1, read chapter 2, take notes on characters, write the outline, draft the introduction, and so on. We can help them create a mini checklist for each part. This makes the overall task feel much more achievable and less daunting.
That's a great practical tip. It makes the mountains seem much smaller. Now, what about distractions? That's a big one for kids.
Distractions are definitely the homework dragon's most potent weapon. We need to help children identify and manage them. This means talking about things like turning off notifications on tablets or phones, or letting siblings know it's study time. Sometimes, even visual distractions, like toys scattered around the study area, can pull their attention away.
So, creating a do not disturb zone.
Exactly. And when we say manage distractions, it's also about teaching them self-awareness. As they get older, they can learn to recognize when they're starting to get distracted and actively choose to refocus. We can encourage them to take a quick stretch break instead of resorting to a phone game.
That's a good point about self-awareness. It's not just about controlling the environment, but also about building internal control.
Absolutely. Now, let's discuss the power of breaks. It might seem counterintuitive, but regular, short breaks can actually boost focus and prevent burnout. Our brains aren't designed to concentrate for hours on end without a pause.
So, not a marathon, but a series of sprints?
Yes, think of it like running. You don't sprint the whole way. You pace yourself and take strategic breaks. For homework, this can mean a 5-minute break every 25 to 30 minutes. During these breaks, kids can stand up, stretch, grab a quick drink of water, or even do a few jumping jacks.
And it's important that these breaks are actual breaks, right? Not just switching from homework to scrolling through social media.
That's crucial. The break should be a genuine pause from demanding cognitive tasks. It's about letting their minds rest and refresh, not just switching to a different form of stimulation. This work for a bit, break for a bit pattern, often called the Pomodoro technique, can be incredibly effective. We're essentially training their focus muscles.
I've heard of the Pomodoro technique. It's about focused bursts of work followed by short rests. So, to recap these initial strategies for taming the homework dragon, first, establish a dedicated, organized study space. Second, help kids break down large assignments into smaller, manageable steps. Third, actively manage distractions by creating a focused environment. And fourth, incorporate regular, short, refreshing breaks.
You got it. These are the foundational elements. As children get older, they can take more ownership of these strategies. We're equipping them with tools to manage their own learning. It's about building their confidence and their ability to tackle academic tasks independently.
It's about making homework a more predictable, less overwhelming part of their day. It shifts the perspective from a punishment to a process.
Exactly. And this process is all about building good habits, which we've been emphasizing throughout the series. These focused study sessions contribute to better academic performance and also instill a sense of responsibility and self-discipline.
So, the homework dragon doesn't have to be quite so fierce if we approach it with a good plan.
Precisely. It's about understanding the challenges and providing the support and strategies to overcome them. These focus study sessions are a vital skill for their academic journey and beyond.
This is really helpful, Alex. I think giving parents and kids concrete steps like these can make a huge difference. It's actionable advice.
And that's what we aim for. Remember, consistent application of these strategies is key. It might take a few tries for kids to get used to the new routines, but the long-term benefits in terms of focus, productivity, and reduced stress are immense.
So, we've got the study space, breaking down tasks, managing distractions, and taking breaks. That's a solid approach to making homework more manageable.
Indeed, we've learned to build routines, and now we're learning to tackle specific academic tasks effectively. It's all part of the package of time management skills.
It really is. Thank you, Alex. This has been another insightful episode.
My pleasure, Lisa. Next episode, we'll be introducing the visual compass for kids, how to effectively use calendars and planners. Welcome back. Last time, we talked about taming the homework dragon with focus study sessions. Now, let's add another essential tool to our kids' organizational toolbox, the visual compass. We're diving into calendars and planners specifically for children.
Ooh, I love the sound of visual compass. It feels so much more engaging than just saying charts and schedules. My kids sometimes get so lost in the day-to-day, they forget what's coming next.
Exactly. And that's where visual aids come in. For younger children, especially those who are just starting to grasp the concept of time, a simple visual schedule can be a game changer. Think of it as a roadmap for their day.
So, not a super complex calendar with every minute accounted for, but more of a picture-based guide?
Precisely. For a preschooler or kindergartner, it might be a series of pictures or icons representing activities. Wake up, breakfast, playtime, lunch, nap, more play, dinner, bath, story time, bedtime. You can use a whiteboard, a felt board, or even just a piece of paper with some sticky notes. The key is that they can see what's coming next.
That makes so much sense. It helps them anticipate what's happening and reduces those "what are we doing now?" questions. It gives them a sense of control, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It builds predictability. And as they get a little older, you can start introducing a weekly calendar. This could be a grid with days of the week across the top and spaces for activities. Again, using pictures or simple words is fine. Your child can help place stickers or draw little symbols for important events.
So, for a Tuesday, they might have a sticker for gym class or library day. This sounds like it helps them understand the flow of the week, not just the flow of a single day.
That's the goal. It helps them see that, say, Today is Friday, which means tomorrow is Saturday, and we have soccer. This connection between days is a big step in understanding larger chunks of time. And as they move into elementary school, a simple planner becomes the next logical step.
A planner. That word can sometimes sound a bit intimidating for kids, like it's all about serious business. How do we make it approachable for them?
The best way is to make it their own. Let them decorate it, choose a colored pen, or add their own stickers. And importantly, start with just a few key things. For a younger elementary student, this might mean writing down A. Their homework assignments, B. Any special after-school activities, and C. Something fun they're looking forward to.
So, not just a list of obligations, but a balanced view of their week. I like that. It prevents it from feeling like just another chore.
Right. And for older kids, the planner can become more detailed. They can start to write down not just the assignment, but when they plan to do it. This is where we're starting to build those time management skills we talked about in earlier episodes. Remember when we discussed breaking down tasks? A planner is the perfect place to schedule those mini tasks.
So, instead of just writing math homework, they might write math homework, problems 1 to 5, 6 p.m. to 6:15 p.m. That's a really clear way to think about it.
It is, and the visual aspect is still crucial. Seeing the tasks laid out, perhaps in different colors for different subjects or types of activities, helps them process the information. It's like having a map of their responsibilities.
I think a common hurdle for parents is wondering when to introduce these tools. Is there a general guideline?
There is, and it's more of a progression than a strict age. For very young children, the visual daily schedule is fantastic. Around kindergarten or first grade, a simple weekly calendar with visual cues is great. Then, as they enter second or third grade, you can gradually introduce more structured weekly planners. And by upper elementary and middle school, a daily or weekly planner can become a central tool for managing their time.
And it's about consistency, right? We can't just give them a planner and expect them to use it perfectly from day one.
Absolutely not. It requires guidance and practice. Sit down with them and fill it out together initially. Ask them, when do you think you'll have time to work on your book report? Or we have Aunt Mary's visit on Saturday. How should we block out time for that on your calendar?
This is where the collaboration comes in. It's a partnership. We're helping them develop a skill, not just handing them a tool. This visual compass, as you called it, really does help them navigate their commitments and understand the landscape of their week and beyond.
And by seeing their week laid out, they can also start to identify potential conflicts or times when they might have too much on their plate. This is a precursor to learning to say no and prioritizing, which we'll cover in future episodes. But for now, the visual calendar and planner are about clarity and predictability.
So, to recap, we've seen how to use simple visual schedules for our youngest ones, progressing to weekly calendars, and then to more detailed planners for older children. The key is making it visual, interactive, and a collaborative effort. These tools help children visualize their time, anticipate events, and begin to manage their commitments effectively.
They're essentially giving kids a bird's eye view of their time, helping them feel more in control and less overwhelmed. It's about building their confidence and their ability to plan.
It's such a fundamental skill. I'm excited to try some of these visual strategies.
Me too. It's about making time management less abstract and more concrete for them. Next episode, Prioritization Power Up, deciding what matters most. Welcome back to Teach Kids Time Management. Last time, we explored using calendars and planners.
That was so helpful, Alex. But even with a planner, a child can feel overwhelmed with a page full of activities.
Exactly. And that's where today's topic comes in. We're diving into prioritization. We need to teach our kids that not all tasks are created equal, and some demand our attention more than others. It's about helping them decide what matters most.
Prioritization. How do we start teaching them to prioritize?
We start with a fundamental question. What needs to be done and what should be done? Sometimes things need to be done because they're urgent, like finishing homework for a test tomorrow. Other things should be done because they're important for long-term goals, like practicing an instrument.
So, urgency versus importance. That makes sense.
It is, and it's incredibly powerful. For younger children, we can simplify this by using a must-do, should-do, could-do list. The must-do are the non-negotiables, often tied to immediate consequences if not done, like homework for school.
Must do are the absolute priorities. And should do?
Should-do are things that are important but perhaps not time-sensitive right now. They contribute to development or well-being. This could be reading a book for pleasure, tidying their room more thoroughly, or practicing a hobby.
And could do?
Could do are the fun extras, the things that are nice to do if there's time left over. Playing a video game, watching a favorite show. These are important for downtime and enjoyment, but they're the last on the priority list.
That's a great way to visualize it. Having those clear categories helps them understand where to focus their energy first.
Precisely. Now, for older children, we can introduce a more structured approach, like a simplified version of the urgent important matrix. We can explain it using 4 categories.
For categories? Tell me more.
The first category is for tasks that are both urgent and important. These are the tasks to do first. Think of a major project due tomorrow or preparing for an appointment you can't miss. These demand immediate action.
Okay, so urgent and important. That's the top priority category. What's next?
The second category is for tasks that are important but not urgent. These are schedule tasks. This is where long-term goals often live. Learning a new skill, exercising regularly, spending quality time with family. These are crucial for growth, but they can be planned for later.
So, we don't have to do them right now, but we need to make sure we do schedule them in so they don't become urgent later.
Exactly. The third category is for tasks that are urgent but not important. These are tasks to delegate or minimize. For kids, this might be helping a sibling with something they could do themselves or responding to a quick, non-essential message.
That's a really useful distinction. Sometimes things feel urgent just because someone else is asking for them.
Right? And the fourth category is for tasks that are neither urgent nor important. These are eliminate tasks. This is essentially our could-do category, or even things we might realize we don't need to do at all. Excessive social media scrolling when there are more important things to do, for example.
So, do first, schedule, delegate or minimize, and eliminate. That system really helps children understand where their time and energy should be directed. It's not just about doing things, it's about doing the right things.
That's the core of it. By teaching prioritization, we empower kids to make conscious choices about their time. They learn to ask themselves, is this the most important thing I can be doing right now? This prevents them from feeling constantly busy but not productive.
And I can see how this could also help with their sense of control. Instead of feeling like tasks are just piling up, they have a tool to manage that influx. They become the directors of their time.
That's a brilliant way to put it, Lisa. And it's a skill that extends far beyond childhood. Learning to prioritize effectively is key to success in school, in their future careers, and in managing their personal lives. It helps them focus on what truly matters.
So, to recap, we've learned to help kids prioritize by using simple categories like must do, should do, could do for younger children and introducing the urgent important matrix for older kids. This helps them identify tasks to do first, schedule, delegate or minimize, or eliminate.
Absolutely. And remember, this isn't a one-time lesson. It's an ongoing conversation. Regularly checking in with your child about their priorities will reinforce this valuable skill.
It's about teaching them to be intentional with their time. That's such a powerful gift.
It truly is. So, we've covered building routines, tackling homework, using planners, and now prioritizing. What's next on our time management journey?
Next episode, understanding and meeting time limits.
Excellent. Thanks for listening. Welcome back. Last time, we explored how to help kids prioritize tasks, deciding what really matters most. Today, we're learning how to understand and meet those all-important time limits.
Oh, deadlines. They can sound so daunting, can't they? Especially for kids. But I'm excited to hear how we can make them less scary and more manageable. So, Alex, what exactly is a deadline in kid-friendly terms?
That's a great starting point, Lisa. At its core, a deadline is simply a finish line. It's that specific point in time by which a task or project needs to be completed. Think of it like a finish line in a race. You know when the race starts, and you know when it ends. The deadline is that ending point.
A finish line. I like that. It makes it feel like a goal, not just a threat. So, if a deadline is the finish line, what's the first step a child needs to take to reach it?
The very first step is understanding the deadline itself. That means knowing when it is and what needs to be done by then. Sometimes a project might have a big, final deadline, but it also helps to break that down. Imagine a big Lego castle. The deadline might be when it has to be shown to grandma, but you can't build the whole castle in one go.
Right. You have to build the foundation first, then the walls, then add the towers. So, those smaller building stages are like mini deadlines?
Exactly. This is where we empower kids to become deadline detectives. The first detective skill is deconstruct the task. We need to help them look at the whole project and figure out all the smaller steps involved. For our Lego castle, this would be get the Lego box, sort the bricks, build the base, build the walls, build the towers, add the roof, decorate.
And then, for each of those smaller steps, there's an action. So, for sort the bricks, the action is sorting. And for build the base, the action is building the base.
You've got it. The next detective skill is set mini deadlines or milestones. For each of those steps, we can assign a smaller time limit. This helps prevent that overwhelming feeling of, I have to do everything at once. It turns a giant mountain into a series of small hills.
This is so important. It breaks down that I don't even know where to start feeling. So, instead of just build castle by Friday, it becomes something like, by Tuesday, I'll have the base built, and by Wednesday, the walls will be up.
Precisely. And to make these mini deadlines effective, we need to introduce our third detective skill, plan the pace. This is where we help kids estimate how long each small step might take. It's not about being perfect, but about making a reasonable guess. This involves looking at their calendar, their existing commitments, like soccer practice or a play date, and seeing where those building tasks fit in.
Planning the pace, that means not trying to build the entire castle on the same day they have a big soccer tournament, right?
Absolutely. It's about realistic scheduling. And this naturally leads us to our fourth detective skill, visualize the timeline. We've talked about calendars and planners before, and this is where they shine. Seeing the mini deadlines laid out visually on a calendar or a planner can be incredibly powerful. Kids can see the progress they're making, and they can also see if they're falling behind early on, giving them time to adjust.
So, it's not just about knowing the deadline, but about actively working backward from it, breaking it down, and planning each little step along the way. It sounds like planning ahead is the real secret weapon against last-minute rushes.
It truly is, because when you plan ahead, you build in buffer time. What's buffer time? It's that extra bit of time you have before the final deadline, just in case something unexpected happens. It's like carrying an umbrella on a slightly cloudy day. You hope you won't need it, but you're prepared if the weather changes.
Buffer time. Yes. That's the antidote to that panic when you realize you've only got 1 hour left and the project is only half done. So, to recap our deadline detectives for parents and kids, first, deconstruct the task into smaller, manageable steps. Second, Set mini deadlines for each of those steps. Third, plan the pace, realistically fitting those steps into their schedule. And fourth, visualize the timeline using calendars or planners.
You've summarized it perfectly, Lisa. By practicing these skills, kids learn that deadlines aren't just arbitrary points in time meant to cause stress. They are clear goals that, with a bit of detective work and planning, are perfectly achievable. It builds confidence and reduces anxiety around tasks.
And it teaches them a valuable life skill that will serve them well far beyond school projects. Understanding and meeting time limits is crucial for adulthood.
That's the ultimate goal, isn't it? Equipping them for the future. So, next time a project has a deadline, encourage your child to put on their deadline detective hat and start figuring out the clues.
Great advice, Alex. This has been incredibly helpful.
Next episode, we'll be talking about finding that essential balance in a child's life: playtime, chores, and downtime. Balancing the schedule. Welcome back. Last time, we explored how children can become deadline detectives. Now let's tackle balancing the schedule.
It's easy to focus on homework, but a child's day needs a healthy mix of fun and responsibility. So, how do we make sure all these pieces fit?
It comes down to intentional planning. Think of a child's schedule like a pie. We need to carve out clear sections for different activities.
A pie analogy. So, what are the key slices we need to consider?
The first, and most look forward to, is playtime. This isn't just unstructured silliness. It's dedicated time for imagination, creativity, physical activity, and social interaction. This is where kids develop problem-solving skills and learn to entertain themselves.
And it's crucial for their emotional well-being, isn't it? Kids need to blow off steam and just be kids.
Exactly. Next up, and sometimes a tougher sell, are chores. This is where kids learn responsibility and contribute to the household. It's about building good habits and understanding that everyone in a family has a role to play.
Some parents worry about overwhelming their kids with chores. How do we approach that?
By making them age-appropriate and consistent. Start small. A 3-year-old can help put toys in a basket, while an older child might be responsible for setting the table. The key is to integrate them into the routine so they become a natural part of the day.
So, playtime for fun and development, chores for responsibility. What's the third important slice?
The third essential slice is downtime. This is distinct from playtime. Downtime is about quiet, restorative activities. It could be reading a book, drawing, listening to music, or simply doing nothing without pressure. This is where kids recharge their mental batteries and process their day.
I think downtime is often the first thing to get squeezed out when schedules get busy. But it sounds like it's just as important as active playtime.
Crucially important. So we have playtime, chores, and downtime. The challenge is finding the right balance for each child and each family.
How can parents figure out that balance?
Start by observing. When is your child most energetic? When do they need a break? You can also involve your child in the planning process. Ask them what they enjoy doing, what they feel they contribute, and what helps them relax. Mapping out their ideal week together can be a powerful exercise.
So, bringing them into the conversation. That makes it feel less like something being imposed on them.
Precisely. And when you're filling out their planner or calendar, you're not just scheduling homework blocks. You're explicitly carving out time for free play, tidy up time, and quiet reading.
Makes it visible. Seeing playtime written down can make it feel just as important as a scheduled appointment.
Absolutely. And remember flexibility. Life happens. It's about the overall balance across the week.
So, it's not about rigid adherence every single minute, but about ensuring all these crucial elements are represented regularly.
Exactly. And for parents, this framework helps manage expectations. If you've scheduled dedicated playtime, You can feel more confident saying no to some extra demands during that time.
It sounds like this is all about creating a structured, yet flexible, environment where kids can thrive, learn, and still have fun.
You've got it. By intentionally planning playtime, chores, and downtime, we're nurturing well-rounded, responsible, and happy children. We're teaching them that productivity and enjoyment can coexist.
So, to recap, we've talked about the three key components of a balanced schedule: dedicated playtime for creativity and fun, chores for responsibility and contribution, and downtime for rest and mental recharge. The key is to plan these intentionally, involve your child, and maintain flexibility.
Well said, Lisa. By integrating these elements, we're building a foundation for a child's well-being and their ability to manage their time effectively throughout their lives.
Fantastic insights, Alex. This gives parents a great framework for thinking about their child's day.
Thank you for joining us. Next episode, Procrastination Pitfalls, Overcoming the Urge to Delay. Welcome back. Last time we covered balancing playtime, chores, and downtime. Now let's tackle procrastination.
Procrastination. It's such a common word, and I think we've all been there, putting off something until the last possible minute. So, Alex, why do kids, in particular, tend to delay tasks?
That's a great question, Lisa. There's several reasons. Sometimes a task just feels too big or overwhelming. Imagine a child needing to write a report on a historical event. If they only think about the entire report, it can seem daunting. Another reason is a fear of failure. If they're worried they won't do a good job, they might avoid starting altogether.
So, it's not just about being lazy, then? It can be rooted in anxiety or feeling unequipped.
Exactly. It can also be about seeking immediate gratification. The immediate pleasure of playing a game or watching a video is much more appealing than the delayed reward of completing a task. And sometimes, it's simply a matter of not having clear steps, which we've touched on in previous episodes. When you don't know where to begin, starting feels impossible.
That makes a lot of sense. So, knowing these reasons, what are some practical strategies we can teach our kids to help them fight procrastination?
One of the most effective techniques is often called eating the frog. This comes from a quote by Mark Twain, who said that if you should eat a live frog first thing in the morning, you'll have the satisfaction of knowing that it's probably the worst thing that's going to happen to you all day.
So, in kids' terms, that means tackling the most difficult or least appealing task first.
Precisely. By getting the biggest, scariest job out of the way early, the rest of the day feels much easier and more manageable. It builds momentum and a sense of accomplishment right from the start. So, if homework is a struggle, encourage them to do that challenging math problem or that first paragraph of an essay before anything else.
I can see how that would take a huge weight off their shoulders. What else can we do?
Another powerful strategy is to break down large tasks into smaller, more manageable steps. Remember when we talked about how overwhelming a big report can feel? If a child breaks it down into, say, researching a topic, outlining the main points, writing the introduction, then the body paragraphs, and finally the conclusion, each step seems much less intimidating.
So, instead of write the report, it becomes a series of mini goals. Find three facts. Write one sentence about the first fact.
You've got it. Each small step provides a sense of progress. As they complete each mini task, they can check it off, reinforcing that feeling of achievement. This is crucial for building confidence and making the overall task feel less daunting. We want to celebrate these small wins along the way.
Celebrating small wins. That's so important for motivation. It's not just about the final outcome, but the journey.
Absolutely. And along with breaking down tasks, setting realistic goals is key. Imagine telling a child to study for 3 hours. That can be overwhelming. It's much better to say, let's study for 25 minutes, then take a 5-minute break. This is often referred to as the Pomodoro technique.
Ah, yes.
Short bursts of focused work followed by short breaks are so much more sustainable and less draining. It keeps their minds fresh and prevents that feeling of burnout.
Exactly. And speaking of breaks, it's essential to schedule them in. Procrastination can sometimes stem from simply feeling exhausted or uninspired. Regular, short breaks allow for mental rest and can actually increase overall productivity and focus when they return to the task.
So, to recap, we discussed tackling the hardest task first, breaking down big projects into small steps, setting realistic goals for work periods, and incorporating regular breaks. These all sound like fantastic tools for kids to use.
They really are. Another helpful approach is making the task more engaging. Can we add an element of fun? For example, can they listen to their favorite music while doing a less demanding task, like organizing their desk? Or perhaps turn rote memorization into a game?
That's a great way to reframe it. It's about making the process less of a chore and more of an activity with a purpose. And what about the environment? Does that play a role in procrastination?
It absolutely does. A cluttered or distracting workspace can be a major trigger for procrastination. We've discussed organization in a previous episode, but it's worth reiterating here. A clear space often leads to a clearer mind. Minimizing distractions, like turning off notifications on devices, can make a significant difference.
So, if a child is trying to do homework, but their phone is buzzing constantly or there's a TV on in the background, that's an open invitation for procrastination.
Precisely. Creating an environment conducive to focus is proactive procrastination prevention. And finally, it's important to encourage self-compassion. If a child does procrastinate, instead of getting frustrated, help them understand what happened and how they can approach it differently next time. It's a learning process.
That's a wonderful mindset to foster. It's about learning and growing, not about perfection. So, we have Eat the Frog to tackle the toughest tasks first, breaking down overwhelming projects, setting realistic work break cycles, making tasks more engaging, creating an organized workspace, and practicing self compassion when things don't go as planned. That's a comprehensive set of strategies.
It really is. Procrastination is a common hurdle, but with these tools, children can learn to manage it effectively and build a more productive and less stressful relationship with their tasks. Remember, the goal is progress, not perfection, and celebrating those small victories along the way can be incredibly motivating.
That's a perfect way to look at it. We've covered so many actionable strategies for kids to overcome procrastination. Next time, we'll shift our focus to a broader perspective, teamwork and how time management skills can benefit the entire family.
I'm looking forward to it. Next episode, Teamwork Makes the Dream Work, Time Management for Families. Welcome back. Last time, we dove deep into beating procrastination. Today, we're shifting gears to something even bigger, applying time management not just to individual kids, but to the whole family.
That's right, Alex. It's episode 9, and we're talking about how to make teamwork makes the dream work a reality when it comes to managing your family's time. It can feel like herding cats sometimes, can it?
Absolutely, Lisa. But imagine this, a household where everyone knows what's happening, where morning chaos is replaced with calm, and where family activities actually happen without last-minute scrambles. That's the goal of family time management.
So, how do we get there? It's not just about giving each kid a planner, is it?
Not all. It's about creating a shared system. Think of it like building a shared roadmap for your family's journey. The first step is often open communication. You need to talk about everyone's schedules, commitments, and even their preferences. What works for one family might not work for another.
That makes sense. So we're not just imposing a system, but creating one together. What does that communication look like in practice?
It could start with a simple family meeting. Once a week, gather everyone. It doesn't have to be long, maybe 15 to 20 minutes. On this agenda, you'd review the upcoming week. What are the soccer practices? Who has a dentist appointment? Where the school plays?
And everyone gets a say, even the little ones?
Exactly. Even the youngest can point to their drawing that needs to hang on the fridge by Friday, or their desire to play a specific game with a sibling. It's about acknowledging everyone's time and commitments. For younger children, you might use visual aids. Remember our episode on visual planners? They can draw what they're looking forward to.
A great callback to episode 4. So a weekly family meeting is key for awareness. What's next after sharing the information?
The next step is coordination and prioritization, but on a family level. For example, if both parents have major work deadlines looming, and Sarah has a big school project due, and Tom has a soccer tournament, you can see the potential for conflict. You need to look at the whole picture and decide what needs the most attention and how you can support each other.
So, if mom has a presentation on Wednesday, maybe that's the night dad handles dinner and bedtime routine solo, and the kids know to keep noise levels down. It's about mutual support.
Precisely. It's about leveraging everyone's strengths and understanding each other's pressures. Just like in episode 5, where we talked about individual prioritization. Now we're doing it collectively. This shared understanding reduces friction. Nobody feels like their needs are being ignored.
That's a huge relief for many families, I'm sure. What about managing shared spaces and resources? That's often a source of family time drain.
Absolutely. Think about shared calendars. Many families find success with a large wall calendar in a central location, like the kitchen. Everyone can add their important events. Or a shared digital calendar that syncs across devices. This visual cue is powerful. It shows a glance. Okay, Tuesday is packed with extracurriculars. We need to be efficient.
So, it's like a central brain for the family schedule. That makes so much sense for avoiding that, oh no, I forgot moment.
Exactly. And this naturally leads to delegating responsibilities. Again, we touched on this a bit in terms of chores, but when it comes to family time management, delegation is crucial. Who can help with meal prep? Who can ensure the living room is tidy before guests arrive?
This is where the teamwork really shines. It's not just about individual tasks, it's about contributing to the smooth running of the household as a unit. And for kids, it teaches them responsibility and the value of contributing to a collective goal.
You've got it. And importantly, you need to build in buffer time. Life happens. Things run late. Kids get sick. A schedule that's packed to the minute is a recipe for stress. Building in some flexibility means that when the unexpected occurs, it's an inconvenience, not a catastrophe.
So, planning for the unexpected is part of the plan. That's a really important distinction. It sounds like this requires a shift in mindset for everyone involved.
It absolutely does. It's about moving from my time to our time and recognizing that managing time effectively as a family benefits everyone. It leads to less stress, more quality time together, and a greater sense of peace in the home. Remember how we discussed the importance of downtime in episode 7? Family time management helps ensure there is downtime available for everyone.
That's a fantastic point. When the schedule is managed well, there's more space for those essential moments of rest and connection. So, to recap for our listeners, family time management starts with open communication and regular family meetings. Then, it's about collaborative prioritization and coordinating schedules using shared tools like calendars. Delegating responsibilities and building in buffer time are also key components.
And the ultimate benefit? A more organized, less stressed, and more connected family unit. It's a skill that benefits not just the children as they grow, but the entire household in the here and now. It truly is teamwork making the dream work.
What a great way to put it, Alex. It's inspiring to think about implementing these strategies.
Next episode, digital detox and screen time strategies. Welcome back to Teach Kids Time Management, Episode 10, and we're tackling digital detox.
And welcome back to returning listeners. Last time, we discussed teamwork for families and managing time together.
Today, we're diving into digital detox and screen time strategies. In our increasingly digital world, screen time can easily take over, impacting everything from homework to playtime.
Screens are everywhere, and finding a healthy balance can be a real challenge. Alex, where do we begin with managing screen time for kids?
First, understand why it's important. Too much screen time can lead to poor sleep, less physical activity, and difficulties with attention. It can also impact social skills and even lead to isolation. Does that sound familiar?
It really does. They're on a device but not engaging with people nearby. So, what's the key to a healthy relationship with technology for kids?
It's setting clear, consistent boundaries. Think of it like healthy eating habits. You wouldn't let a child eat junk food all day, right? Guide them on appropriate screen usage. A good start is involving your children in setting these rules. When kids have a say, they're more likely to follow them.
That makes sense. Instead of just imposing rules, you're collaborating. So, how do we do that?
Exactly. Designating specific tech-free times is crucial. This could be during meals, an hour before bedtime, or even a full digital detox day each week. During these times, encourage activities that don't involve screens. What would you suggest?
Anything that gets them moving or interacting. Reading books, playing board games, drawing, spending time outdoors, building with Legos, or engaging in imaginative play. These activities are vital for development and often get pushed aside when screens are readily available.
Precisely. And it's beneficial to create clear zones where screens aren't allowed, like bedrooms. This helps with sleep hygiene, as the blue light emitted from screens can interfere with sleep cycles. Remember when we talked about the importance of good sleep for focus and learning? This is directly related.
Right.
A well-rested child is a more attentive child. So, it's about creating intentionality around screen use. Instead of screens being the default activity, they become a planned part of the day.
You've got it. Another strategy is to focus on the quality of screen time, not just the quantity. Not all screen time is created equal. Educational apps, creative tools, or video calls with family are very different from passively watching videos or playing repetitive games. Encourage activities that are interactive and promote learning or creativity.
That's a great distinction, Alex. It's not about eliminating technology, but using it thoughtfully. An hour spent learning a new skill on a coding app is very different from an hour scrolling through social media, which younger kids might not even need.
Exactly. And for parents, it's also about leading by example. If we're constantly on our phones, it sends a mixed message. So, when we talk about family time, let's make sure it's genuinely present, device-free time. This reinforces the value of human connection and shared experiences.
That's a really important reminder. It's easy to get caught up in our own devices. So, to recap for our listeners, first, understand the impact of excessive screen time. Second, involve kids in setting clear, consistent boundaries for screen use. Third, establish designated tech-free times and zones, like during meals and in bedrooms.
And fourth, focus on the quality of screen time, favoring interactive and educational content. Fifth, lead by example by being mindful of your own device usage. These strategies help children develop a healthy relationship with technology, ensuring it's a tool that enhances their lives, rather than a distraction that detracts from it.
It really is about finding that balance. Technology is here to stay, so teaching kids how to manage it wisely is a crucial life skill. It complements all the other time management strategies we discussed, like planning their day and prioritizing tasks.
Absolutely. When kids learn to manage their screen time effectively, they'll have more time for homework, chores, creative pursuits, and most importantly, unstructured play and real-world interactions.
It's a holistic approach to helping them become well-rounded individuals. So, don't feel discouraged if this is a struggle. It's a common challenge, and consistent effort is key. Start small, communicate openly, and celebrate even the small victories in establishing healthier digital habits.
That's a perfect way to put it, Lisa. We're building lifelong skills here. In our next episode, we'll shift gears to discuss how children can create organized spaces that support their productivity and time management efforts.
Ooh, organized spaces. I'm excited for that one. So, next time, we'll be exploring the power of decluttering and setting up effective systems.
That's right. We're going to wrap up our discussion on keeping everything in its proper place. Thanks for listening. Welcome back. Last time we covered digital detox and screen time strategies. Now, let's tackle the power of no.
Teaching kids time management isn't just about packing their schedule, it's about knowing when not to add to it.
Learning to say no is a critical skill for managing commitments and protecting one's time and energy.
Many adults struggle with this, let alone kids. We want to be helpful, we want to be involved, and then we're overloaded. So, how do we teach our children this lesson?
It starts with understanding the value of their current commitments. Routines, homework, chores, and downtime are the foundation of a balanced schedule. When a new request comes in, the first step is to pause and assess. Does this new commitment fit with what's already on their plate?
So, it's about evaluating against their existing schedule. Like, imagine their week is a puzzle, and you're trying to see if a new piece will fit without breaking another one.
Exactly. And it's not just about fitting it in. It's about the energy and focus required. If a child is already stretched thin, adding another demanding activity might hurt their performance in existing areas. We need to teach them to consider the impact of a new commitment. Will mean less sleep, less time for homework, less free time to just be a kid.
That's a really important distinction. It's not just about the clock, but the actual mental and emotional resources. So, when a request comes up, they should ask themselves, do I have the time and the energy for this?
Precisely. And this is where setting boundaries becomes key. Boundaries are personal guidelines that protect our time and energy. For children, these boundaries might look like a rule about not signing up for more than 2 after-school clubs, or committing to finish homework before agreeing to play video games.
And who sets these initial boundaries? Is it us as parents, or do we help them discover their own?
It's a collaborative process. We can model healthy boundary setting ourselves. We can also help them identify what feels overwhelming. Ask them, how did you feel after you joined that extra activity last season? Were you happy, or were you exhausted? This reflection helps them understand their own limits. Then, we can work together to create concrete boundary rules.
So, for example, we might help them create a commitment checklist. Before saying yes to anything new, they check. Does it align with my goals? Do I have the time? Do I have the energy? Will it take away from something more important?
That's a fantastic approach, Lisa. And it leads beautifully into another aspect, learning to say no gracefully. We don't want children to be rude. It's about clear, polite communication. A simple no. Thank you, I can't right now, but I appreciate you asking can go a long way. Or, I'd love to, but I already have something scheduled at that time.
It's about being firm, but kind, and empowering them to communicate that. Often, the fear of disappointing someone is a huge barrier to saying no.
Absolutely. And we, as parents, need to reinforce that it's okay to say no. We shouldn't praise them for overextending themselves or guilt them for setting limits. Instead, we should celebrate their ability to make wise choices about their time and energy. This might mean saying no to a fun party if they have a big exam coming up, or no to an extra responsibility if they're already struggling to keep up.
It really circles back to the core of time management, making conscious choices about where we invest our limited time and energy. Saying no to one thing is essentially saying yes to something else, more sleep, better grades, a chance to recharge, or more focus on what truly matters.
That's a perfect way to put it, Lisa. Saying no allows us to say a more meaningful yes to our priorities and our well-being. And when children learn this early, they build a foundation for a less stressful, more productive, and happier life. Remember, we've discussed routines, homework, prioritizing tasks, and managing screen time. All these skills are amplified when a child can confidently say no to commitments that derail them from their goals and their personal capacity.
So, to recap for our listeners, teaching kids the power of no involves helping them assess new commitments against their existing schedule and energy levels. It means setting clear boundaries, modeling polite refusal, and reinforcing that it's okay to decline requests that don't align with their priorities or well-being. Saying no strategically frees up time and energy for the things that truly matter, making their yes much more impactful.
Exactly. This ability to set boundaries and manage commitments is vital for their current success and their future well-being. Next episode, Chapter 12, Keeping It Together, Creating Organized Spaces for Success. Welcome back. Last time we discussed setting boundaries and managing commitments. Now, let's tackle creating organized spaces for success.
I love this topic, Alex. It feels like a natural extension of everything we've been discussing. We've spent so much time talking about managing their schedules and their tasks, but a cluttered desk or a messy room can completely undermine all of that effort, can it?
Absolutely. Think about it from an adult's perspective. If you sit down at a chaotic workspace with papers piled everywhere and pens scattered, how focused do you feel? It's overwhelming, and it makes it hard to even know where to start. It's no different for children. An organized space is a quiet space for the brain. It reduces mental clutter, which in turn helps improve focus and productivity. It's like a visual sigh of relief for their minds.
That's a great way to put it, a visual sigh of relief. So, where do we begin? I imagine parents might feel a little daunted by the idea of tackling their child's entire room or study area.
The key is to break it down into manageable steps, just like we've encouraged with time management. We can start with a few key areas. First, the homework or study station. This is where a lot of focused work happens. Second, the bedroom, which is their personal sanctuary and storage hub. And third, we can think about general organizational systems that apply everywhere.
Let's dive into the homework station. What makes a good one?
A good homework station is one where everything a child needs is within easy reach, clearly visible, and easy to put away. This means having dedicated spots for essential supplies like pencils, pens, erasers, rulers, and paper. A desk organizer or a simple tray can do wonders here. We also want a clear surface space for their books and assignments. If there's no space to spread out, they'll become frustrated.
So, it's about having a designated spot for everything. I can see how that would reduce the time spent searching for a lost pencil when they should be doing math problems.
Exactly. And it's not just about supplies. It's also about managing the paperwork. We can introduce simple systems for organizing completed assignments, papers to be returned, and even current projects. Consider a simple filing system, perhaps with clear folders or label bins. One folder for finished work, another for to do, and maybe one for to file. This teaches them to categorize and manage their academic materials.
That's so practical. And importantly, it reinforces the idea of processing things, isn't it? We've discussed dealing with tasks promptly, and this physical system mirrors that.
Precisely. Now, moving to the bedroom. This is often a bigger challenge. The goal here isn't necessarily a minimalist monastery, but a space that supports rest and organization for their belongings. We want clothes to have their own place, drawers for folded items, a closet for hanging items. Toys, Books and other personal items should also have designated homes.
Are there any fun ways to make bedroom organization appealing to kids?
Absolutely. Involve them in the process. Let them choose bins or containers they like. Make labeling fun with stickers or colorful pens. For younger children, we can use picture labels instead of words. Think about toy bins that are easy to access and easy to dump things into at the end of the day, but also have a system for tidying them up. For example, a bin for building blocks, another for stuffed animals.
I think many parents struggle with the putting away part, especially with toys. It can feel like a constant battle.
It is, but establishing evening routines where tidying up is a non-negotiable part of winding down can make a huge difference. It doesn't have to be a massive overhaul every night. A simple 5-minute toy dash before bed, where everyone pitches in to put things back in their designated spots, can keep chaos at bay. This builds a habit of regular upkeep, not just a massive cleanup session.
So, the emphasis is on consistent, small actions rather than overwhelming tasks. This sounds familiar.
Indeed, and for both the homework station and the bedroom, we want to create systems that are easy to maintain. This means using containers that fit the space and the items they hold. For example, shallow bins work well for shelves of books or craft supplies, while deeper bins might be better for larger toys. The key is that the system should work for the child, not against them.
Speaking of systems, beyond just tidying, what about decluttering? Sometimes the problem isn't just where to put things, but having too many things in the first place.
That's a vital point. Regular decluttering sessions are essential. We can frame this as making space for new favorites or donating to friends who need them to make it a positive experience. Involving children in deciding what they no longer play with, read, or where helps them develop a sense of agency and prevents overwhelm. It teaches them to curate their belongings, which is a valuable skill.
So, to recap for our listeners, creating organized spaces involves three main ideas. First, establish a functional homework or study station with everything accessible and easy to put away. Second, designate specific homes for belongings in their bedroom, making tidying a routine part of the day. And third, regularly declutter to manage the volume of possessions.
That's a perfect summary, Lisa. Remember, the goal isn't perfection, but progress. An organized environment reduces stress, improves focus, and supports all the time management skills we've been building. It's about creating a supportive ecosystem for our children's productivity and well-being. When their surroundings are in order, their minds have more space to learn, to create, and to simply be kids.
It truly makes a difference. It's one of those foundational elements that supports everything else.
It really is. And as we move toward the end of our series, we'll be looking at how to consolidate these skills for long-term success. Next episode, Future Foundations, Review and Long-Term Vision. Welcome back. Last time we covered organized spaces. Now let's focus on future foundations.
That's right, Alex. We've covered so much ground, from the basics of routine to tackling homework and even digital detox. It feels like we're assembling a really powerful toolkit. This episode is about making sure those tools are used effectively, not just for today, but for years to come.
Exactly. Think of everything we've discussed: establishing routines, using planners, prioritizing tasks, dealing with procrastination as bricks. We've been laying those bricks, creating a solid foundation for our children. Now, we need to step back and look at the entire structure, the long-term vision. What does this foundation allow them to build in the future?
So, this episode is a bit of a comprehensive review and a look ahead. It's about reinforcing what we've learned and understanding how it translates into skills that will serve them throughout their academic lives and even into adulthood.
Precisely. Let's recap some of the cornerstone concepts. We started with understanding why time management is crucial for kids. It's not just about getting things done. It's about developing self-discipline, reducing stress, and fostering a sense of accomplishment. Remember, we talked about how time management teaches children control over their own lives.
And that feeling of control is huge for a child's confidence. Then we dove into the concrete habits, like the power of morning and evening routines. Those predictable structures create a sense of order and make sure the important things, like getting ready for school or winding down for bed, don't get overlooked.
Absolutely. And how we tackled homework. That was a big one. We went from viewing homework as a chore to seeing it as an opportunity for focused learning. Strategies for breaking down tasks, creating dedicated study times, and minimizing distractions are all skills that directly transfer to higher education and professional work.
I remember us talking about the visual compass, calendars, and planners. It's amazing how giving kids a visual representation of their time can demystify it. They start to see not just what needs to be done today, but what's coming up next week or even next month. That foresight is invaluable.
And that leads into prioritization. We learned that not all tasks are created equal. Teaching kids to identify what's most important or urgent helps them manage their energy and focus effectively. This is a skill that will prevent overwhelm throughout their lives.
We even had a dedicated discussion about understanding and meeting deadlines. It's about teaching responsibility and the consequences of time, both positive and negative. Children learn to pace themselves and manage their workload, rather than facing a last-minute panic.
Then we looked at the balance, playtime, chores, and downtime. It's not about cramming every minute with productivity. It's about making sure there's time for relaxation, family, and personal interests, which ultimately fuels productivity. A well-rested and happy child is a more effective learner.
Overcoming procrastination was another key area. Recognizing the signs and using strategies to push through that urge to delay is essential. That's a lifelong battle for many adults, so starting early with these techniques is a massive advantage.
And we saw how this extends to the whole family with family time management and the crucial skills of setting boundaries and learning to say no to overcommitment. These are sophisticated life skills.
And let's not forget organizing their spaces. A tidy environment often leads to a tidy mind, and it reduces wasted time searching for things. It's all interconnected.
It truly is. So, as we build this long-term vision, what we're really imparting to our children are habits that foster independence and self-reliance. These aren't just kid skills, these are life skills. When a child masters these concepts, they gain confidence that spills into every area of their lives. They're developing a proactive approach rather than a reactive one.
It's about empowering them to be in charge of their own learning journey and their own time. Imagine our kids as adults, confidently navigating college deadlines, managing projects at work, or even planning family vacations. These foundational habits we're teaching now are the building blocks for that capable adult.
Exactly. And it's important as parents and educators to remember that this is a journey, not a destination. Our children will grow and their needs will change. The strategies we've discussed need to be adapted as they get older. A planner that works for a 7-year-old will look different for a 17-year-old.
So, this episode is also about encouraging continuous practice. It's not a one-time lesson. It's about making time management a natural, integrated part of our children's lives. We can continue to model these behaviors, offer support, and celebrate their progress.
Think of it like learning a musical instrument. You practice regularly, you refine your techniques, and you gradually tackle more complex pieces. Time management is similar. The small steps they take now, like sticking to a homework schedule or packing their bag the night before, are the scales and arpeggios of effective living.
And when they can manage their time effectively, they have more freedom. They have time for hobbies, for friends, for simply relaxing and being a kid, because the essential tasks are handled. It's not about being busy all the time. It's about being purposeful with the time we have.
That's a crucial distinction, Lisa. Purposeful use of time leads to greater satisfaction and less stress. The vision for our children isn't just about academic achievement. but about creating well-rounded, capable individuals who can manage their lives with confidence and grace. This series has aimed to give you the tools to help them build that future.
So, to summarize our future foundations, the key is consistent practice, adaptation as kids grow, and viewing these skills as lifelong assets, not just temporary fixes. We're equipping our children with the ability to organize their world, manage their responsibilities, and ultimately achieve their goals.
You've summarized it perfectly. Building this strong foundation of time management truly sets them up for success in every aspect of their lives, now and in the future.
It's been an incredible journey covering all these topics. We've built a comprehensive guide.
Thanks for listening. Welcome back, everyone, to our series on teaching kids time management. We're so excited to wrap things up today.
Absolutely, Alex. We've covered so much ground, from building routines and tackling homework to understanding deadlines and managing digital distractions. Today, we're going to celebrate all the progress listeners have made and talk about how time management is truly a lifelong skill.
That's right, Lisa. Think back to episode 1. We talked about why time management matters for kids. It's not just about getting things done. It's about giving them a sense of control, reducing stress, and building confidence. It's a foundational skill that impacts every area of their lives.
And we saw how those building blocks really come into play. Remember episode 2 about building blocks of routine? Establishing consistent morning and evening habits creates a predictable rhythm. It's like setting up a strong foundation for the entire day, making everything else fall into place more easily.
Exactly. And what's a major part of that routine for many kids? Homework. In episode 3, we tackled the homework dragon, offering strategies for focused study sessions. We talked about breaking down big assignments, finding quiet spaces, and even using short timers to maintain concentration.
That felt like a huge win for so many families. And to help visualize all of this, episode 4 introduced the visual compass, calendars and planners. Seeing what needs to be done and when is so powerful. It transforms abstract tasks into concrete steps.
It truly does. And that leads us naturally into episode 5, the prioritization power-up. Learning to decide what matters most, what's urgent, and what can wait. That's a skill that benefits adults just as much as children. We learn to ask, what's the most important thing to do right now?
And how do we know what to do right now? Episode 6, Deadline Detectives, helped us understand and meet time limits. It's not about rushing, but about understanding the impact of time and planning to meet those important dates. This builds a sense of responsibility.
Responsibility is key. Episode 7 looked at balancing the schedule, playtime, chores, and downtime. It's all about creating a healthy equilibrium. Kids need time to play, time to contribute, and, crucially, time to just relax and recharge. All of these are equally important parts of a well-managed schedule.
And who hasn't struggled with procrastination? Episode 8, Procrastination Pitfalls, offered some fantastic strategies for overcoming the urge to delay. We learned that procrastination often stems from feeling overwhelmed, and the solutions involve breaking tasks down and just getting started, even with small steps.
Teamwork makes the dream work, as we saw in episode 9. Time management isn't just an individual pursuit, it's a family affair. When everyone in the household understands and supports each other's schedules and needs, it creates a much smoother environment for everyone.
Oh, and episode 10 on digital detox and screen time strategies was such a hot topic. Learning to manage our relationship with technology is a crucial part of modern time management. Setting limits and making intentional choices about screen use is vital.
In episode 11, we empowered listeners with the power of no. Learning to set boundaries and manage commitments is essential for preventing overwhelm. Saying yes to the right things means sometimes saying no to others, and that's a valuable lesson.
And to keep it all together, episode 12 focused on creating organized spaces for success. A tidy physical environment often leads to a tidy mental space, making it easier to focus and manage time effectively. Where you work and play matters.
Then, in episode 13, we took a step back for a long-term vision. Reviewing progress and thinking about the future helps solidify these skills. It's about reinforcing all the lessons learned and looking ahead to how these habits will serve them as they grow.
And that brings us to today. We've really emphasized that time management isn't a one-off skill to be learned and forgotten. It's a journey, a continuous practice, and a truly lifelong skill. Every day presents new opportunities to apply what we've discussed.
Absolutely, Lisa. The key is continued practice and celebrating progress. Even small improvements are worth recognizing. Did a child successfully plan their study time for a week? That's a huge win. Did they learn to say no to an extra commitment that would have overloaded them? Fantastic.
It's about fostering a positive mindset around managing time. Instead of seeing it as a chore, help them see it as a tool that empowers them to achieve their goals, pursue their passions, and have more time for the things they love. This journey is about building confidence and independence.
And remember, it's not about perfection. There will be days when schedules go awry, and that's okay. The important thing is to learn from those moments, adjust, and keep moving forward. The resilience they build in navigating those challenges is just as valuable as sticking to the plan.
This series has equipped parents and children with a comprehensive toolkit. We've covered establishing routines, effective study habits, planning and prioritizing, managing distractions, setting boundaries, and creating organized environments. These are all interconnected pieces of the time management puzzle.
And for those who want to delve deeper or need ongoing inspiration, there are many wonderful resources available. Books, apps, workshops. A quick search can reveal many avenues for continued learning and support for both parents and kids on their time management adventures.
Ultimately, teaching kids time management is one of the greatest gifts we can give them. It's a skill that will serve them throughout their academic careers, their professional lives, and their personal lives. It's about fostering productive, organized, and less stressed individuals.
So, as we conclude this series, we want to offer a heartfelt congratulations to everyone who has listened, learned, and put these strategies into practice. You're building a foundation for a lifetime of success and well-being. Keep celebrating those milestones, big and small.
Thank you for joining us on this journey. We hope you feel inspired and empowered to continue embracing time management as a joyful and rewarding lifelong skill.
Thanks for listening to the series.